Hello and welcome back to the Age of Bison YouTube channel. I'm SerSharkDad and we have another Civ Spotlight. I know this has been requested. It's been a long time coming. It takes me a while to get a professional to come in here and talk to me and introduce me to the Civ. And as you can see here, we are covering Germany, which is much famed, much talked about because of certain people in the community. A lot of controversy around the Civ. Is it amazing? Is it the best Civ ever? Is it high A tier? Is it just a B tier? Who knows? We'll kind of discuss it. And you can see that level 5 does not lie. I am not familiar with the Civ very much. I played just a little bit just so I can know how to beat it. So I'm very, very excited for this Civ Spotlight. Very solid Civ we have coming up, and I am joined here by one of our very own, very famous Carey, who has just been just tearing it up on the ladder. He's been doing great in the tournaments. He has been basically providing us some of the best show matches that we have had on the Age of Bison YouTube channel. I'm sure you guys are familiar with his game, Carey. It is so good to have you here, my friend, and
Thank you.
Really excited. So, can you go ahead and just give us just a sort of what makes Germany unique compared to the other civs, and what are the things, like if I'm a brand new player and I'm coming in and I'm like, Carey, I'm trying to climb out of 1,000 elo, I want to play Germany, I've never touched the civ before. What are the very specific things that I need to know before getting into the civ?
Sure. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me. And I would say for Germany, the main thing is to use your Ulans constantly. Mm-hmm. And that is obviously the Civ bonus. I don't want to get too far into it, but the Civ bonus is after age 2 and beyond, every shipment gives 2 Ulans, 3 Ulans, or 4 Ulans, depending what age you're in. Mm-hmm. And I would just say the most important thing is constantly use them. And we can talk about what that means in the future. So.
Okay, so the Ulan shipments, the automatic Ulan shipments, that's the one big Civ bonus. What are some other things that I need to be
it's so powerful that they actually get a penalty to their XP for it.
Oh,
and I think it's the biggest in the game. So, like a few other Civs have XP penalties, but Germany is minus, or it's like a 10% penalty.
Ooh,
so.
Oh, okay, I see. So they get the Ulans, but their XP is slower, so that means their shipment curve is slower.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's why another big part of it is getting that TP and transition to age 2. Again, we'll talk about that later, but it's very important that they get that down, like to the point where if your explorer goes down while building it, people will send their settler wagon halfway across the map just to finish that because it's so important.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so what are some other bonuses then that you can think of?
Well, I would say a kind of a bad thing about them is they don't have the musketeer unit, right? So a lot of people rely on that,
right.
Especially at the lower elo. They do Muskfalk, which is great. I mean, obviously, if Germany could make them, they would, but they don't have that. So they have a different unit, which is called the Doppelsoldner, and they have the pikemen. Obviously, that's their anti-cav in H2 and 3.
Okay.
Until you get the war wagon. But yeah, just that's like a warning. So if you rely on that Muskfalk, you're going to have to kind of change your playstyle a little bit.
Gotcha. So like for me, right, I play my 2 mains, United States and Britain, which you can see how exciting of a person I am. And so in each of those, right, heavy musket civ. So me jumping into Germany would be super awkward not having that unit.
Well, if you've ever done like a British bow pike, you'll feel fine. Mm-hmm. Or USA. I mean, USA, to be fair, is pretty musk heavy.
Yeah.
At least how I play it. I don't really mess around with any. Well, there is the new Scrim Goon play, but for most people, it's musk and Gatling. So yeah, you would be kind of out of your depth a little bit, I think.
Gotcha. Okay, so they're gonna really spec into the Scrim Goon, but like you said, they do have other unit options. The Doppelsonder is like that heavy infantry, I guess, kind of like a samurai, you would say it is, or
yeah, it's that same unit type where the what's the Teutonic Knight, or what is the other Maltese one?
Oh man, I'm blanking. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. It's the knight, let's say.
And or the samurai, or I think there's maybe one more, but the Inca one, right? That one's crazy. But it's basically that It's got crazy siege, so it's actually kind of cool in a few ways. And there's builds where you can make them really fast, up to like 5+ speed, and
Wow.
just
Okay.
mono comp them,
Mm-hmm.
and just crash from 2 different sides and get a crazy.
So they're like a
surround.
halb, essentially.
Yeah, but with the area of effect, that's the most
Oh,
important
okay,
thing.
cool. So they do have an area of effect attack in front of them. Okay, interesting.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then I know, there's also the little guy with the wagon. You want to tell us about him too?
Yeah. He's pretty normal actually. He's basically 2 vills worth in 1 unit.
Mm-hmm.
So he gathers at double the rate of a normal villager would. Um, he, well, he builds things actually faster than 2 vills would, because if you know diminishing returns, if you put 2 villagers on a building, it actually will build slower than 1 vill plus 1 vill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I get, like, in terms of the opportunity cost, right? It's like 2 vills gathering is better than the right than the 1 vill building versus 2 building. Is that kind of what you're getting at, or am I understanding that wrong?
Well, it's just that it actually builds faster than 2 vills would actually build.
Okay.
Like a house, for instance.
Okay.
Because if you put 8 vills on a TC, it's not going to be. It's going to be faster than if you put 1 vill,
Mm-hmm.
but it will be like marginally. Each vill you add is like marginally less.
Okay, so like you said, diminishing returns
Yeah,
each
yeah,
percentage
yeah.
on top.
So,
Okay.
so it's good. What I'm saying is, it's very good to build with settler wagons. If you
Gotcha.
can.
Okay, so it gathers at the rate of 2, but then
Yep.
it gets you. But in terms of building, it's actually faster than 2 because it doesn't have the diminishing returns
Exactly.
of 2.
Exactly.
I see. Okay, I gotcha.
So you want to build with them as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a ton of HP. They are range resist at 2, I believe. So they're great for tanking. There's been many times where there's a push coming in right at 6 minutes and 6-7 minutes, and you have like all your settler wagons still out gathering because they're just soaking up damage while you have everybody else in your TC. And that's one more thing I want to mention. When they're in the TC, they only count as 1 vill, so it's very inefficient. So you want to have regular vills in the TC shooting, and settler wagons out if possible.
Okay. Got it. For those who don't know what Carey is talking about, basically the most efficient way for you to use your vills when under siege, if you're going to put them in the TC, a lot of lower elo players, they'll say, oh, I don't want to really idle my economy, so I'm going to put 2 or 4. You want to put 10 in because 10 is max damage on the TC fire. So it actually is the most efficient use for defending in terms of math, right? To kill the enemy and then go back to your eco.
And no more than 10,
right.
Obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
But if 10 settler wagons, which is 20 vills worth, is the same as 10 regular villagers, because when it's only 1 unit. So anyways.
But they have to be.
It's just very, very inefficient.
They have to be very, very protected though, because you can't train them, right?
True. You can later with a card, but in 99% of games, no, you're not going to train them.
What is their population space? Just 1, or is it 2?
It's 2.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. So your housing is going to be a big deal here because the settler wagons are 2, and then you're also getting the Ulans in.
Yes, and a big thing with the housing, I'll say this one more time, or say this for the first time. You cannot, in age 2 and beyond, you cannot send a shipment unless you have housing, because of those 2 Ulans. So it's very important that you have at least 1 population space to send if you need a shipment to come out, whether it's units or otherwise, because those Ulans in age 2 are 4 pop, and if you are totally popped, you can't even send anything. So housing is a very important aspect we can get into.
Okay, interesting. Are there any other sort of like weird quirks about Germany that you can think of besides? So we covered shipment curve, Ulans, settler wagons, and then we covered a little bit about the population space. Is there anything else? We'll get into units, more unique units later. I know we mentioned the Doppelsander.
Yeah. Nothing yet. They have some powerful mercenary strategies. A lot of people do. So.
Okay, gotcha. Are their mercenaries cheaper like Sweden is, or is it like they just get more of them?
The way that they're better is when you send a mercenary shipment, instead of 3 Ulans, you just get more mercenaries.
Oh.
Which, if you do the math, is actually a better deal, right? Because we can just look at how much an Ulan costs. It's 50 food, 100 coin. but the mercenary that replaces it is always like more than that, if that
Gotcha.
makes sense.
Okay.
So you're just getting more value out of those shipments.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Interesting. So let's go ahead and just like, I'm gonna go ahead and let's go ahead and create a test deck really quick, and then we'll kind of get
Sure.
into, we'll get into the cards, and we'll start talking about different units and stuff like that. And oh, I already have a test deck. Interesting. How about this? How about I delete this test deck?
Wait, that's pretty good. Oh, okay. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, we have a completely blank deck. It's a blank canvas, and
Okay.
and so let's, I want you to go through age 1 and just tell me what you think is the most, like what we absolutely need in this deck, like mandatory, and then go from there.
Yeah. So the first thing, like any civ that has this ability, is what we call the 3 villager shipment, right? It's just instant eco as soon as possible. The good thing is you actually get 4 villagers worth with Germany with 2 settler wagons. So I would add that right away. So it's already like a 25% increase over a 3 vill shipment would be. So yeah, that's the 2 settler wagons. The other thing I would mention is this is the only age where you're not getting free things in, so you don't want to have too many age 1 cards if you can avoid it.
Okay.
But it's actually kind of nice sometimes, because if you're getting pushed and they've destroyed all your houses and you need to send a shipment, you almost want to send an age 1 shipment. So I always have 1 more, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I do eco theory, just in case I'm super housed and I just want to.
Okay, so you go eco theory. Okay.
Yeah, which is just a general 10% across the board.
Right, just to have anything in there. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so nothing else really, none of these other like really strike out at you. I know that like sometimes maybe this is being too specific, we're going for a generic build here, but like I see that sometimes the Ironmonger comes out, or something like that.
I would do that, but there's the better card in age 2 that increases the yield of the mines as well. Mm-hmm. It's the same card, but you get 2 free cav units and it increases the yield. So
I should ask you, what is your opinion on print selectors really quick? Because I know this is
I don't really use it. Okay. I actually tested this a little bit, and Oldenburg gets you like the hunter villager guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the royal huntsman.
The natives, yeah, the natives.
Yeah.
I've tried this where I've done it with Oldenburg, and you do get the units, but they're not the hunter ones. They're not the ones that gather food, so they're not that good. One other thing is it's actually decent if you want to get. It's the only way they can really get the drummers. I think they can get, or like an age 3 musk. Okay. I've tested all of these actually, and none of them give you an age 2 musk, which is what you really, really want.
Right.
So because of that, it's not really worth it. You're not getting Ulans. It's an age 1 shipment. You're not replacing anything you don't already have. I mean, it could work well, but there's not enough value there.
Yeah, I don't even think you really get the techs. I'm trying to remember if you get the techs with them. I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
Don't know.
But I know you can get Northern Musketeers, like you said, but that's only in age 3. So that's a pretty interesting unit. But okay, so that's age 1. So you like to have eco theory just in case in the back pocket, and then 2 settler wagons, which is, like we said, basically a 4-vil shipment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to commerce age. What are you thinking here?
3 settler wagons immediately.
Okay.
It's the most OP shipment in the game.
Okay.
Which is because you send it right away, right?
Yeah.
And compare it to somebody else's first shipment. Let's say Brits, they're not going houses, they're doing 5 vills for some reason. You're getting a vill over them, and you're getting 2 cav to instantly raid them if you need to.
Nice.
So it's just like you're getting 300 res on top of an extra vill on top of 5 vills. So it's just, I would send that first in 90% of your games, unless you're doing like a rush, something totally crazy. But
okay, gotcha.
That's a really good card.
All right.
Other than that, I would say your standard 700 wood, 700 coin.
Okay. Just standard.
This is nice. Where, yeah. And then I would have one more 600 coin or wood, depending on what you want to make.
Okay.
If you're gonna do like a semi-cav play, you should just do the 600 coin maybe, so you can still keep making batches and age. But if you're gonna do anything age 2 else other than making your coin heavy cav, I would do 600 wood. So
Okay.
it's your preference.
Okay.
And it's depending on who you're playing, right?
Right.
If I'm playing Brits, I'm not gonna spam cav into his base. It's probably not worth it.
Right. Okay.
So
Interesting.
yeah, we can do that for now. 8 crossbows is great.
Right.
Because again, you get the 2 Ulans, right? There's snaring, and your crossbow can keep following. Even Musk, right? It's like just they counter Musk, but your Musk will try to run away from them, and the Ulans just snare them, and you're just one-shotting as they're following, right? So it's just really good.
Okay.
What else? My favorite H2 card is 11 Irish Brigs.
Oh,
it's
okay. Interesting.
Amazing card.
Yeah, I
So
was not
normally-
expecting that.
That's what do you think that normally is, right? It's not 11 because you are missing the Ulans, but normally that's like 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting 2 extra Musk. which
Oh,
is-
right. Yeah, you're right.
It's way
Yeah, yeah.
better.
Okay. For only 500
So, yeah.
coins, so huge value.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
So and that just covers so many weaknesses. I've literally won games where you pop those and minutes at the same time and have like 2 Ulans just snaring a mass. They're just following it right behind and just cleaning up. It's crazy.
Right.
So
Okay.
besides that, it kind of depends. I like having 3 dops.
You like the 3 dops. Okay. Gotcha.
I like it because if there's like, say you're playing Spain, which is one of their worst matchups, basically because of the Rodolero,
Mm-hmm.
you can send that kind of right away just to siege down their forward tower, and often get their TP, because Spain normally goes for a TP.
Right.
But you get so much value out of that shipment just slowing down their push by taking out a forward tower, and slowing down their XP curve by killing that, or at least forcing them to make units to slow them down. Either way, it's a win. So in certain matchups, that can be really good.
So you're not shooting straight for a fast fortress. It seems like you want to send this card. You like having this to kind of poke around.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Even if I did a fast fortress, I would still do 3 settler wagons, just because the value's too high. And then I've done where if I'm making a little bit of cav, I'll send 700 coin. If not, you just do the wood
Mm-hmm.
and gather the 1,200 food and 1,000 coin, just so you can actually do something when you're in age 3. Like again, you need constant houses, or you can't make anything, you can't ship anything. So the wood is important. You can't just send 700 coin and expect to be fine with Germany.
Okay. All right. Anything else in H2?
I would recommend having the cav HP.
Okay.
If you see that, yeah. And here's a little weird thing. The German team cards do not have Ulans associated with them. Normally, I would say add both because they're such a cav heavy civ. But I actually don't like cav attack in 1v1 because so much of the value is the 2 cav you get with each shipment, and they don't have that. So
Okay.
I usually leave cav attack out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and then there's the +2 Ulans in that, but not in this one. I see. Okay.
Exactly, and that applies to all team cards.
Okay.
So be a little careful. It's usually worth it if you have a big team, but if not, it can hurt the card.
Okay. Are we gonna go for maybe advanced arsenal maybe, or?
I like it. Yeah, I like that too.
Okay.
And maybe I actually have 2 settler wagons in some decks if I'm being greedy, but I would just say the rest you can kind of fill out to your preference.
Okay.
For a standard. Oh, actually, sorry, one more card. The
Sure.
Silversmith card.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So this is the one you were mentioning before. This is the yield and the
Exactly.
speed. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's Germany is a very coin heavy civ, whether you're making the Ulans, which are 2-to-1 coin to food, or sending mercenaries, they're going to need coin either way. So
Mm-hmm.
this lets you stay on base a little longer. It's the yield. It gets you the shipments faster because you can actually get the coin. So it's just really good.
Okay. And better to do this earlier rather than later just because you want to take advantage of that yield and the speed.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. I wouldn't send this after age 2.
Okay. All right.
I would
Makes
just send
sense.
like 1,000 coin. You know, like
Okay.
it's about tempo.
That's important. Okay. Got it. And then what is your opinion on the Palatine settlements?
Um, I was gonna say if we're gonna make if we're gonna make 2 decks, I would say this would be a good mercenary. Uh, if you're going mercenary heavy, like as your main army, this one could be really good.
Okay. Just because of their
So
population space.
it does what it says, right? It just makes your houses way more pop efficient, which can actually hurt. If they push with like a 2 Falc push and you get 2-3 houses down, that's 60 pop. So
Right.
be careful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. But yeah, the mercenary is just much higher population space. So maybe
Yeah,
consider
I
that.
actually only do that with outlaws too,
Oh, okay.
which are even more like they're not as good as mercenaries, but their main cost is their population. So
Mm-hmm.
um,
Okay.
yeah,
All right. So if that finishes up H2, we'll
yeah,
go ahead
that's
and.
fine.
All right. And so, yeah, you got a lot of options here, and I feel like making a standard
This
Germany
is your
deck
power
is
spike.
yeah. Okay. Let's see it.
Okay.
Oh, no 2
I would
Falcons,
first
right?
no 2 Falcons. That's a good point.
Okay.
And I wouldn't recommend doing 1 Falcon. It doesn't seem that good.
Okay.
Because 2 Falcons kill your Falcon before you even get one of theirs down, right? So
Right.
it's not worth it. Let's start with the two crates, 1,000 wood, 1,000 coin.
Okay.
It's just should be standard pretty much, I think, in any deck.
Right.
Let's look right at the mercenaries. I would recommend picking 2 that obviously kind of work together. So I like the standard 9 Black Riders, which are like dragoons, and very good. And you get 9 instead of like the French 7, I believe.
Yeah.
So even better. And I like the Jaegers still. I do like the Jaegers.
Okay.
I would do that. But again, if you want to mix it up and say 7 Bosniaks and 13 Pandors, if you understand what those units do and what they're good at, I think it's fine to swap both of those out. As long as they kind of counter what counters the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I see.
Like you want a skirm goon or so that's kind of, if you're not doing a mercenary build, that's kind of all I do. I don't do the improved mercs, which is that helmet card, which is a great card because it's 25% of already a high.
Oh wow.
Or no, it's 15. Sorry,
15%. Wow, that's huge though. Yeah.
But it's both, right? It's both hit points and damage. That's why I said that. So yeah, that can be really good if you're actually doing like a mercenary build.
Okay, gotcha.
But we're not doing that here. So anyways, if we're going standard, I would do 8 skirm, 7 skirm, just because you want to build that skirm mass. It's like just keep poking, right, forever, and you can just hopefully beat somebody like that. But also there's I like 9 Ulan.
Okay.
Very good. Now you have to think about this because this 9 Ulan is a little weird. It's actually 6 Ulan, which isn't that great of a card actually, right? Because like Brits get a 5 Huss shipment in age.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah.
And like I'm pretty sure 5 Huss would beat 6 Ulan. I'm not sure about that, but pretty close. But so it's not 9 plus 3. Let's just say that it's 9 total.
Right.
So, but that kind of like pop is so good. You know, if you have a forward tower and they're just sieging it with skirms, I don't know why they'd be doing that. You're just going to clear everything. So it's a big power swing. So you really want that card.
Okay. Gotcha.
I would do the war wagon.
Okay, so this guy sends you 3 war wagons and 3 Ulans. So war wagons are just basically dragoons, but they're just really tanky.
Yes, they're your fast musketeer basically. There are 3 pop, so they're very again pop and efficiency going on here, but they're very good. They kind of overkill, so if you have like a big mass of them, you kind of want to split them if you have, I mean, if you have a mass of them, you're in a good spot anyways. But like that 3 war wagon shipment would be a 5 goon shipment. So your attack is more concentrated on one thing. Anyways,
Okay.
I would do the cav combat because you're going to be making a lot of cav.
I see that.
Now this doesn't affect like mercenaries, so it's not a normal cav combat that a lot of other civs have.
Okay.
It only affects German units, which should be fine for 90% of your games, but just a thought.
Got it.
Other than this, a lot of people like the Eulons. I try to not do that.
Okay, then we won't have it then. That's fine. But yeah, it's just more mass of Ulan just to add.
Right. Yeah. It just again builds that mass up, like you said.
Okay. How do you feel about the conversion over to the Chevalier?
I don't do it.
Okay.
I'm old school, so.
Okay. You're like, no.
But it could be good. I don't know.
I like their
That's
stats
probably why you
personally.
brought me
I
on
asked
that.
because I personally really like their stats. But maybe something there with that.
I like making them when the natives are available and you can just make them. Isn't that the Wittelsbach, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're good units, but I kind of have an affinity for wagons, even though they're not that great. I will say one more thing about the war wagon. They are actually very good at like killing a falc because they have a lot more range than a dragoon would. So if you're being like pushed by falcs, something I'll do is actually throw down an arsenal and get the range tech.
Yeah, the
for
Caracal.
the Cav Caracal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can actually get you, like, if you have like 10 of them and you roll up and you have the extra range, you're one-shotting that falc without taking much damage. So that can be a little way out of your node 2 falcs if it comes to that. So something to keep in mind.
Okay. Okay, and then the only I'm just going to point out the Germantown Farmers card. Yeah, just that was, obviously that's a very niche card, but that's what we were mentioning, settler wagons from mills. So
yeah, and that's the one I was talking about earlier, where you can train them.
Okay.
But it's tough to do in a 1v1 because it doesn't give you any immediate value.
Right.
It just allows you to do something from an expensive building that you probably don't have.
Right.
But in a team game, it's really good because of an Age 4 card, which just improves all settler wagons across the board.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay. Anything else in H3?
I would definitely fill up H3. I wouldn't leave it like this. I would say pick something you like. Maybe 5 dots. I mean, you could get a nice pop out.
Let's do it.
It's a little unfortunate when you have to like upgrade them because you do get them in H2. So it feels bad like getting that on a unit you're only going to have 5 of, but it's kind of worth it sometimes. So
yeah,
I like to have it.
Okay. Yeah, just more versatility. Let's throw that in there. But so just so the audience knows, 5 is fine there. You could go 8 Ulan. World's your oyster, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move into H4 then. You got 3 cards. So.
Okay. Well, it's easy for me. It's 2 factories and 2 heavies, but.
Okay. But you got plenty of
If
options.
you had more room, I really like that Polish Hussar.
The wing Hussar, yeah.
Yep, that one's really good. Just because it actually doesn't cost pop, right? So you can send 7 super strong like guard natives in H4 when you're already popped, So like you overpop with the 2 falcs and then you send those and you're at like, because they're natives, right? They don't cost pop. So you're at like really 250 pop. So they can be good actually.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I can see that. And they're definitely strong Lancer kind of units, so pretty sweet. Any other kind of notable mentions you want to throw in there?
6 settler wagons is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
It's a 12 Vil shipment.
Yeah.
Plus 4 cav. I mean, I have it in some decks just because if I'm like behind it in eco at all, I just send that and stick them on a mine or stick them on just wood, and that's all my wood the rest of the game,
Yeah, that makes sense.
It can be really good. So that one, and then the one next to the factory is the one I mentioned earlier. It increases 35. Yeah.
Oh wow, 35%. Okay, so late game German eco for sure. It can be a
Yeah.
thing. Okay, cool.
And there is a limit to how many settler wagons you can get. I think it's like 20 or 30. So that card we talked about in H3, I'd actually only send that if you had already lost some. Because if you're sending that and
You
you
ready?
already have like 15 somehow,
Okay, I'll
if you
stop
just
the
shipped a
recording.
bunch,
And I'll join you.
you can only train like 5. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you do want to be careful with the training from the mill card because there is a cap.
Okay, gotcha. So, with all that in mind, are there any other cards that you can think of here in H4 that you think can also be kind of optional? I know we've talked about a few. Just, I know we have the war wagons, or like, you don't seem to have the 4 culverin card, which I know is kind of popular in H4.
Yeah.
So you're missing quite a bit, and I mean, you got some interesting ones like the Death Ride. Seems kind of cool.
Yeah.
This seems like 50% for the Doppelsonder. I mean, that's crazy, but I mean, that's a huge loss to speed, so I guess you wouldn't want to do that either.
They rely too much on speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by that time, the enemy has counter infantry rifling, and they just get shredded, I think.
So there really isn't anything.
I would say the one last card in H4, at the top right of your cards, it's called Lipizzaner or something. This is just an extra combat card for just your Ulan. So it can be really good if you're just spamming those, if you're in a team, or you just want a cheapish cav just to spam in the late game. This just puts it one level ahead. So I'd recommend this one.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. Cool. So let's talk about a little bit about the water play. So Germany isn't like technically known for its water, I guess, but like if I was gonna take this deck and say, hey, I need to be able to get on the water and take advantage of water or counteract my opponent's water play, how would I take this deck and then edit to incorporate water option?
So the first thing to do is take one card out in H2 and H3 and just put in the 2 caravels and frigate. What you want to do is kind of up to you. I would probably take Silversmith out, to be honest, because you're going to be more on wood maybe than coin.
Okay.
And then what did you take out of H3? Just curious.
I took the Doppelsonder because that was like a more
that's
optional card.
fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I know people, if you want to actually water boom, I would just take out, or just to kind of supplement the eco, I would just take out 600 coin and put in 600 wood.
Okay.
And just kind of do, I would still send the 3 settler wagons, but then I would do 700 wood, 600 wood, just to, you can kind of bow pike and also just supplement your eco. That's about the extent of what I would do with the water play.
How do you feel about battleships?
They're sweet. They're really sweet. It's the only one in H3. It's very expensive.
Yeah, that is way more.
But you get an extra whole boat, so if you're battleship versus battleship, you're gonna win because of that privateer. But it's a niche thing. I've actually done it on kind of a meme. I was already going mercenaries, and that lets you train mercenaries, so it was kind of a cool strat, but never really competitively.
Gotcha. Okay, so for anybody watching, here's the water deck. So if you're looking for some more like kind of disruptive to the water option, and of course like an H2 boom there with the 2 resource shipments in terms of wood, you have your options here for water. Not entirely known like in terms of like what the potential is for like, if we want to do a dedicated German water deck, but for the most part, you're not really playing on a lot of like water intensive maps, not like Legacy. So,
right.
I think this is decent enough for Germany. Then if we want to go to the standard land, I believe what we did was you had the option of going 600 wood or 600 coin, just depending on what the composition was. And so we opted for 600 coin just for more Ulan. And then We wanted to repick Doppelsonder here, but you can kind of mix and match it if you want. That's an optional card.
Or the fort, too.
Okay.
That's just if people, some people just like to play with forts. That could be your last card in H3.
It makes sense. It's a good map control. I have a question about a couple of cards here because I think people are going to want to ask about it. I think the first one would be the unique church card. Just give us your thoughts on that.
It's not that good, unfortunately. I really wish the Germans had like a really viable church card, kind of like the Brits and the Dutch do. They have a really good one. But basically, they have one good tech. I think it's age 4, where your Dops get an extra they just get. I think they get 10% hit points, and it ships like 12 Doppelsoldners, which is really good. But you could make those. Doesn't really replace anything. And the other big tech is, it's a very expensive, like multiple thousands of gold tech that basically makes mercenary shipments free. The problem is you'd have to send like 3 or 4 or possibly even more than that of mercenary shipments, the 1,000 cost ones, to even make it worth it. That, let alone you're wasting a card slot, or you're wasting a shipment on the church card, so you're even farther behind on the curve. There's probably some niche builds out there, but unfortunately I haven't found a good build for that. So
gotcha. All right, and then my next question is going to be, this was a huge addition, and I know there were some videos talking about, these guys are gonna, these guys can break the meta and be kind of crazy, and I'm sure they can be, but I want to get your thoughts on what the Landwehr's can do.
Yeah, I actually have this card in one deck. It's basically my Tower Rush deck. It's not my build, but instead of building a TP, you build a tower forward, and you basically rush with that. I have this in H3. If the rush fails and I still have a lot of crossbows, like 20 plus, I would send this to make them just better all-around units. If I already have the massive crossbows, right?
Right.
I wouldn't send this and then start making them. I would continue making them, right, if I'm like macroed for food and wood, but that's the only time I like to use it. But because Germany have a great skirm, right? It's not their weakness, and it's more of like there's transform, the plan cards that transforms from one thing to another. It basically transforms crossbows into like a better skirm. So
right.
If I have the crossbow mass, I'll send it. Otherwise, I don't have that in the deck.
Okay. So this is your standard land deck that we're going to be looking at for right now. But again, like you said, mercenaries can be kind of optional. You can switch out the 7 skirm card if you want. So there's room to play around with, just depending on. So the great thing about Age of Empires is make as many decks as you want, just to make a bunch, for... there's different philosophies, right? One, you can make universal decks, which is kind of how I like to play, or you can make decks that are very, very specific for specific situations. But, I feel like that requires just a great degree of game knowledge. So as you develop with Germany, feel free to play around. But as it stands, this is a good, solid standard deck for land play. Before we get into demonstrating the build order, can you kind of give me a preview of what the card order would look like? That you're kind of generally looking for when you're playing?
Sure. It's going to be 2 settler wagons every single time first, just to get you that eco spike and get into H2 faster. From there, it's 90% of the time 3 settler wagons, except if I do the tower rush. Sometimes I actually ship units first and get one batch out of the barracks I build forward too, just for like a really fast timing. But other than that specific situation, 3 settler wagons. If I'm going anything other than pure semi-Ulans, like semi-cav, I would send 700 wood after that and kind of just split fills on food and coin to go up, while just getting more infrastructure with that 700 wood and raiding with the Ulans I already have. Like you don't need 20 of them, you only need 4, which is what you get with those shipments.
Right.
If they're like turtling or booming. So that's kind of like a greedy or FF. So you can get a church, you can get a barracks, you can get the rest of your houses you're gonna need. You can get stagecoach if you have like 2 TPs somehow. Um, it's just very flexible. But if I'm making Ulans, I built the stable and I'm making Ulans, I would do 700 coin and basically just try to age while also getting batches in because they're so coin heavy.
Okay, I see what you mean. All right, because then you're saying essentially like you kind of, instead of just gathering that 300 coin, taking everybody off coin, putting them on food, and then 700, you're saying you're kind of using the 700 coin to kind of make more
Yeah, you're
Ulan.
leaving vills on coin
Okay,
still
okay.
because they're expensive.
Okay,
Well, they're expensive. They're heavy coin expensive. That's all.
gotcha. Okay, and then what's next?
So the goal most games is to get to age 3, to be fair, because you get an extra Ulan in addition to the 2 per shipment. And they just have, it's kind of where they hit their stride. So normally I'd be trying to age up. However, if they're pushing or something like that, 8 crossbow is a great tech. Just time it up with your minutes. I mean, you're gonna have a market, so you can sell or buy if you need to get that timing right and get the Ulans on them, get the snare. Or the same principle goes for the brigs. But again, those are only sent if you're kind of being pushed. Especially the brigs. I don't like to dive the Irish brigs into their base if I'm attacking, because they want to be getting unit kills, not like veil kills. That's the only way they promote.
Right.
It's a small thing, but I don't want to dive it under their TC. They're too valuable. So those are kind of defensive shipments, and the goal is to really get to age 3.
Okay. All right, and then when you get stage 3, I guess at that point it becomes infrastructure. Just depends on the game, right? So maybe you want to get your infrastructure out. Maybe you want to.
Yeah. Ideally, you sent 700 wood at some point. Even if you send 700 coin to age, you can actually still send 700 wood and make it be valuable. Before you get up, you might be in age 3 with no shipment for a little bit, but I like having 700 wood right away rather than getting to age 3 and sending 1,000 wood.
I see. Okay.
Just because you need those houses so fast, you can't make anything out of your buildings if you haven't been putting down houses. And you don't like to take a large amount of like settler wagons on coin and shove them onto trees. You want to avoid that as much as possible. So, but if you did a bunch of damage, like if your Ulan's got 3 kills, got pushed away, and then you see their TP, yeah, send 1,000 wood, because it's great. You get your vet upgrades and an extra stable, more houses. Trust me, you'll need them. It can be really good. But you kind of want to go for like unit, and just swarm them. That's
Gotcha.
kind of the fun part of the Civ.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, getting that Ulama super quick, so you get to swarm for sure. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just kind of put this to the test. We're going to jump in a skirmish game just against the AI, easy, so that way we can kind of demonstrate the build order. Also, simply because Germany, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is a pretty intense macro civ. Like it requires a lot of you as a player, like in terms of your fundamentals. You have to keep track of the Ulan, you got to keep track of that economy, you got to stay on top of the population space. And I obviously have not played a lot of Germany, so this will
be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for me for sure. So let's go ahead and
the very beginning is actually a little tricky because there's a little math equation you have to do in your head.
Ooh.
But that's kind of the fun part. We'll get to that later.
So I was on hardest earlier just testing some builds.
I like it.
Let's see, what's a good map?
I really like the Euro maps for Germany, just because they sometimes have that. They just seem to have that starting wood treasure so often, which is really nice. Like a Saxony or a Bohemia is really good.
All right, let's
just those like one guardian treasures where you can just crack shot and get 50 coin or 50 wood really fast.
Let's do Bohemia. We're not going to take any treasures just for
okay.
Sort of demonstration, but yeah, we'll play Bohemia with that in mind. Like, you know, you like that starting wood just because, you know, you want to get your trading bows, you want to get your house, so you want to prioritize that. So, okay. So I'm going to pause it right when we get into it, so that way we can kind of run me through what we're going to be looking for here. Okay.
Okay.
So we just load in. So now what am I looking to do?
Okay. The first thing you actually want to do is look at your treasures. I know we're not taking any, but this is really important. So you have 40 XP there. Can you take a look to the one at the southeast real quick? I'm just curious. You see the little X on there? Okay, it's 40 coin. The reason I asked you to do that, that's the one I'm looking at. That's perfect treasure, but we don't have to take it. The reason I asked you to do that is because the standard build is you need a market, a house, and hunting dogs, but you only have 100 wood and 100 coin. So how are we going to do this?
Okay.
Now, I don't know exactly why this is the meta, but it's been the meta for a long time. You're just going to have to trust me on this one. But basically, you split out your settler wagons like normal. Try to get the 100 food as fast as possible. Then you're going to get the 100 wood and build a market.
Okay.
And then we can go from there.
Okay.
And also, you want to get all treasures, but if you're playing this not on this game, but like a regular game, you want to go for XP because if you can get that 4 shipment in faster, it's getting a whole additional villager for free.
Faster. Gotcha. Plus the curve, right? The penalty on the curve. So okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha. All right. So everybody heard that. Spread your settler wagons. Get your food first. Wood. So you want a house, a market.
We want a market first.
Market first.
Because we only have 100 wood. That's the most important thing.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's get a villain queue.
Oh,
you can get one pretty fast because these things eat up crates.
Right. So what do I put them on? Just food?
You actually want to go to coin now. Yes, it sounds weird, but we're gonna sell coin.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we're gonna sell this.
And then the vills are.
You can. Yeah, that's fine actually.
Vills on the
food.
I
usually, yes. So we're gonna sell, and then we're gonna wait till we get to 50, and then take it off and go to wood.
Okay.
So normally, if you are like taking treasures, okay, get them all off. Get them all off. Wood. No, put them on wood.
Wood?
Because we need the house now.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All of them on wood.
So with treasures, it gets a little confusing.
And that's where that 50 wood comes in huge right there, because now
we wouldn't have to be doing this exactly.
Okay, I see.
Which is fine. Let's herd that hunting once and get these 3 ready to go. And you got hunting dogs. That's perfect. Okay, build a house and put everybody on food now. That was the hard part.
Oh, they're a little slow. All right.
That's okay.
There we go. So now there's that idle time just simply because we had to. I see. So now you see that importance.
Yeah, it's actually a bit tricky. I've definitely done that where if I don't get a treasure, I've gone a few seconds. There was an awkward part with the herd too. I mean, it happens, but
yeah, they always, you can be shooting and suddenly back herds on you and you're like cussing. But
exactly.
So how many vills do I want to age up with? Considering that this is telling me 11, right? But then you have to count your settler wagons, which are 3. So
right. The pop is going to be 17.
Okay.
So we can get that in.
Yeah. So we want to go ahead and pick test right here, and then. Okay, so then right away. Okay, so then now we're there. So then we just kind of wait it out.
So you don't have to touch it now, actually. This is where it gets a little easier. Perfect. So what you want to be doing now is actually just taking good treasures, but keeping your explorer alive, because you will have to get that trading post in transition. And if a good player will know you're doing that, and they'll go to the TP that they expect you to be at, and just start meleeing your guy down. And if he has half HP, you could die before he gets it down, right?
Okay, good to know. Another really good wood treasure right there. Okay, so really prioritize those wood treasures, because that's going to help you with the transition. It's going to help you with the TP. So you really want that. Okay, I see.
So when we go up, we're going to put all of these settler wagons on wood.
Okay.
Perfect. And we're going to age with 400 wood most of the time. But yeah. I would even put like, it depends sometimes, but I would put like 4 more regular vills on wood and like herd with, that's fine. Also, you can get, you should get gang saw in transition, like right now.
Okay. So gang saw in transition in most vills, so a 9-to-3 ratio thereabout, because we really want this TP pretty badly.
And you should be positioning yourself to get one. Yeah, that one's fine for now.
Yeah, just I always like to go more aggressive with it, just because of the line of sight. They don't expect it. Okay, now we have the 200, so we wait for a house, correct?
Yeah, we're gonna need a house and 150 more for. People like to get. What's the bear trap or whatever? Steel traps.
Steel traps.
So we're gonna chop that and then basically move all of our settler wagons to coin.
You can see how quick they build it. That's so nice.
Yeah, it is really nice actually. I would herd a little bit with the bills though.
Okay, so I'm gonna move them off now, and then these guys need to go herding. So I'm a little over gathered there.
You can get a villain queue before you age up. Nice. And you want to have one settler wagon ready to pick up all the crates. So you can kind of move them over there or just be ready to go.
Gotcha. So one in queue,
okay,
there we
want
go.
3, perfect, 3 settler wagons in right away.
Okay. That guy's done.
You can drop another house.
So you always want to do it with the settler wagon though, even if you take them off the resource. Okay.
Yes. And you can just shift click them right back on, you know, quick and dirty. So now we decide what military building we want to do.
Okay, let's take a look.
I said coin because it's easier macro. Just, you know.
Right.
Against Japan, I don't know if I'd do that, but that's what we're going to do.
Fair enough, fair enough. And probably just another house even now, right?
Yep, that's totally...
Ooh. Dude, my hotkeys are a little messed up right now, so I apologize for that.
Oh, you're good.
So there's that 2 Ulan, right?
Use these right away.
So then now let's say I don't want to kill the I don't want to necessarily kill the AI really quick, but so then
right, you know, you don't have to
get these guys in queue, but you can see the cost here, 100 coin. It's crazy.
Yeah. Get some bills in queue as well.
Good call. No idle TC. Remember when that was around?
That's right. Yes. Keep herding if you can. Okay, so what I would be doing now is like a little checklist in my head for Ulans. If I'm going against like Brits, okay, he's gonna have lots of vills on the map. If I'm going against, let's say another Germany, I'd be looking for his 2 cav. If I'm playing French, maybe I can try to snipe a CDB, but maybe I should just go straight for his trading post, right? We want to do damage.
Right.
Don't let them sit around. Even if you want to just help, if you're on a map with big treasures, sit on your explorer and just take awesome treasures. You have 2 free cav at 5 minutes.
Right.
That could be, you know, 300 coin on the right treasure. So things like that, you just want to use them as much as possible.
Okay, gotcha. So then at this point, what's the shipment?
I would do 700 coin to age up.
Right. Okay, so this is like an Ulan semi, right? So we got 7 cav.
Yeah.
We're about to have 7 cav out in the field. They're harassing, and then we're gonna go ahead and move it into it.
Yeah. So this will be a little tight. We don't want to actually make any more. And at this point, you can actually take a little bit off of coin when we hit like 300, because it's gonna be a little tight.
But you still want some of them on.
Yeah, because we can get like another Ulan and Q if we want, and we can also just sell for a house. It's not a big deal. A lot of people, they'd probably say send 700 wood there, but I'd rather just get up faster.
Okay, fair enough. And then you want them in the control group too, as well, right? Like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we're just gonna go ahead and harass a little bit, yeah.
Harass.
I know he's on easy, so I don't want to necessarily cause him to surrender prematurely. Yeah. Keep training vills, no idols. So these guys are pretty paper thin though. 190.
Yeah, they are.
Means not too much.
I can't defend them there.
But they hit hard, right? They hit harder than the average Hussar, right?
100%, yeah.
Okay.
So they're like raiders. They're kind of like raiders, but they're very good at that.
So when you go forward to claim a herd like that, like I just did, do you ever? See, I double clicked there. That's my issue.
Okay, we can age. Yeah, I always do fast age unless I need like a TC.
Okay.
So from here we can kind of do whatever we want. We aged a little faster than we normally would, because normally we would have like maybe 700 wood coming, which is fine. Which just means we had a good age too. And didn't need to make any more Ulans. Because sometimes you'll lose a few and you're just like, all right, I'll get one more batch in. But, so in this case, I would maybe send like 1,000 wood. You get one house down.
Well, if we're still in transition, I think maybe we won't get the shipment in time, but.
Yeah, with the fast age, it's tough.
So see here, you're kind of anticipating.
Yeah, I would have like two villas in queue. So we can do whatever we want now. We can either. Oh, that was nice.
Nice. Take that.
It's basically up to you. Do have to get wood somehow. I would just ship it, but.
Okay, sounds good.
And you can almost have like all of your settler wagons on coin all game almost.
So I was asking before, do I send a settler wagon out to claim those advanced herds up there like this, or do I not? Do I just send a regulars?
I wouldn't, because it's just extra idle time. It's 2 vills idle time instead of 1. And then as it gets closer, you can send them out. Also, a big thing I'd like to try to do is your settler wagons are about to finish that mine.
Right.
I like to, like right now, while you're putting it on that mine, shift click it onto a 3rd mine.
Oh.
So they never stop, because when your settler wagons run dry, it's like double that village. So it's not 8 vills, it's 16. So I just always like shift click onto a mine and then mine after. Like you just get in that rhythm, you know what I mean?
Right. And also just getting in the rhythm of just like habitually like I'm just gonna make a house.
Yeah, totally. So from here, we got the wood coming in.
Mm-hmm. It's in. So then we want to kind of.
I would definitely get a barracks.
Right.
Straight away. Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. And then we can make another or whatever we want, right? So basically, it's open-ended. Yeah. So if I wanted another, I could do that. This guy can make some more houses for me. Okay, I see. Okay.
Oh, also, try to always save enough for, if it's 700 wood or 1,000 wood, always save enough for vet Ulans, because you're gonna have them no matter what. It's always worth the investment.
Gotcha. Okay, good to know. So we'll take that now, save up, and then we'll start training the skirms. Perfect. And then so we want to send the war wagons, right? because that can kind of help us with the Dragoon to have the anti-cap, because your Ulan are not going to be able to pull anti-cap for you necessarily.
No, not effectively. You definitely want those in.
Okay.
And those are nice and easy macro. If sometimes with Germany you get a little food heavy, you can get a batch of those in, and they're 150 each, so it kind of evens it out for you.
Okay, and then you can honestly, this is a rocking economy, so you can just go
Yeah,
industrial if you want, or you can send the silversmith and say, okay, like what I want to do is, I like if I need to round up my composition, I can just make, my mercenaries. I can send those in.
Yeah, if that's right. Like, so if you're ever stacking coin, that's your way out, and it'll always be effective because they're like just really good units.
Right.
So don't be afraid to whatever you have more of in your composition. It's like, oh, I'm lacking anti-cav. Like we could say we are right now. We just shipped the Black Riders instead of the Jaegers. Doesn't matter.
So when do you feel the need to age up to 4?
Usually it's if I took a fight and didn't totally knock them out with my really strong shipments and timing. If they kind of held it off, I'd be like, well, they're hurting, but I can just go up to 4 and send 2 heavies now. Or if I just miss macro, and which happens all the time. So, like if I notice I'm sitting at like 1,200 food, and it's like, man, I could just send 1,000 coin, skip 2 vills and age up. Sometimes I'll just do that,
Okay. And then do you keep your Ulans all in the one group, or do you try to split them? Like, because I know you probably want to keep raiding, but then, they're always really good in mass, right? So.
Yeah. So, like, against Japan, I wouldn't, right? Because they're not going to have vills out there. But pretty much any other civ, yeah, I would definitely try to do that. And just have... Yeah, you only need 3 or 4, because even if you're pushing 20 vills off of mine, even if you don't kill any, that's like 1,000 coin they're not getting because they're all idle, they have to react to it, and you just push in a different direction, and you can do that on repeat, right?
So then if I want to go to 4, what are your, is it 3 settler wagons or 2 falconets because you finally get
I like the falcons. I like the falcons, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
There is that card if you happen to be going bow pike for the cheap upgrades. It's the only way for Germany to get that, so beware. But that's like 1% of scenarios where you're going to actually age with the one that gives the bow pike text.
Let's see how expensive these. Oh, war wagons are very expensive.
Yeah, they're like a cure, the exact same cost as a cuirassier.
Okay. I'm trying to remember what my hotkey is for the market.
See those 11 idols? That's your coin mine.
Oh, I thought I shift clicked it.
I thought you did too.
The recording will absolve me. I definitely shift clicked that.
I think you did too.
So I'm just habitually at this point, like, I'm a German main basically. I'm just making a house every time.
You're doing great. You're just pounding it out.
There you go. Do you ever feel like you need to put them in the back just to kind of like, oh, I don't want you guys touching these?
I eventually put them around my coin mine because I like to only build with the settler wagons, so I just kind of like place them in a ring around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of nice because it acts as a line of sight. Like I'll just go, I know where my last coin mine is, and if I need a house, I'll just click over there, grab one, shift click a house in the direction where the enemy will be coming, then shift click it back, so it's a little line of sight.
And the war wagons seem to train slow?
Yes, they're very slow, which is unfortunate.
Okay, I kind of want to train some DOPs. So, oh no, they shadow tech actually. They're vet.
No, I think you clicked it.
Oh, I did click it. You're right. I did.
Yeah,
I was like, wait, oh, okay.
I wish. I will mention one thing about the church card I didn't before. There is a way to make them faster with the church card. It's like all infantry get faster.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that comes at a penalty of, I believe, 10% cost. So it's really hard to make. I mean, fast infantry is like amazing, but It's only amazing if you already have a big mass and you don't have to create them from scratch, because 10% really adds up after a while.
Right. Okay, so
And
then
and yeah,
okay, so these are guards. These are guard status, so they're cheaper. They're needle gunners.
yep. The Ulans and the skirmishers are their royal guard units.
Okay, so even if I'm in age 4, the silversmith shipment only gave me the 2 Ulan, so it is hard coded to
correct.
the age. Okay, interesting, interesting.
That's why I really don't like having more than one age 1, because even if a lot of people send like Eco Theory late when they actually have the bills to make it worth it.
Yeah.
But you still don't want to, because you're missing like a 4 CAD shipment basically too.
But it basically feels as if, like, let me go ahead and right click them. It feels as if, like, you want to send silversmith, like, not instead of the 700 wood, because like it seems like the coin income would just be insane.
Well, you need to do wood one way or the other.
Yeah.
If you have the shipments and the age 2 is a little delayed, I actually don't mind it. It's really if you're losing Ulans and don't need a ton of houses right away, you can totally do that and wait for age 3 to send 1,000 wood.
Interesting. Okay, so basically it's a pretty dynamic. It's essentially like it's an old-fashioned Civ from Legacy, right? It still has that old-fashioned, like, semi-FF kind of build, very flexible. Like, you're feeling out the opponent. Am I making Dops? Am I making Ulan? Am I going to do Bow Pike? Transition, right? And then, but it's more intensive, but it seems like, to me, it's got a really strong economy throughout the game. So much so that actually you have to, like, really control the mines, because you are sucking up coin like crazy on this. Yeah.
You have to know where your next mine is. It's like the most important thing.
Okay.
And sometimes half the game is just moving your mass, because you're going to have a ball of units. It's just moving it with that coin mine to coin mine. And your win condition is just like, I can outproduce you while keeping my expensive, slightly fragile villagers alive.
Okay, so aggressive. So it's basically like Lakota before Lakota, but better.
I think so. I like Germany better than Lakota, but it's fragile too. I mean, you don't have the tower age up. You don't have like the must to fall back on an age 2. They can get pushed in pretty hard, and you have to like figure out your timings and use that market you're always going to have if you do that build. To just get as much out as possible sometimes.
Yeah, really buy market abuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's a fun mini game. Like at the beginning, using your Ulans constantly. What's the most efficient use of 2 free cav at the beginning of age 2? Is it raiding? Is it just sieging a TP? Is it killing their explorers so he can't build shrines? Is it raiding Sweden's shrines? What mine is he going to go on? These are things you're going to think about, right? You have the tools to actually do something about it, which is really fun. So is there a big treasure out there? Can I take that? What am I going to use this treasure on? Can I get another batch in? Do I need to build another house? Things like that. So it's very dynamic is the word.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. So just going over this again, it is immediately gather up your food to get those vills in queue. Your 100 wood is going to be spent on building a market, and then you want to immediately go ahead and gather the 50 wood and hopefully get a treasure. So we saw really quickly how treasures make a huge difference for Germany. And so you
like that 50 wood, you don't have to do wood now. I
Right.
already know in my head I don't have to go on wood at all.
Right.
If it's 45, I'm like, okay, I need to put a vill on wood for 5 seconds.
Sure.
But I know that now.
Right. I crack shot that and grab it. You know, this is where map knowledge really comes into play. Hunting dogs, and then you want to go.
You're always going to sell coin too, because you start with the 100 coin. It's very rare where you'll see like 100 wood treasure. Like you need to sell that coin, so you need to gather the 50 to make up for it.
Right.
It's something to think about.
Okay. So then you put them on wood if you have to, wood treasure, and then you have them on coin. to get the hunting dogs. And then I believe after that, you set everybody on food for a population of 17 for age up on standard. And then we typically go quartermaster. And then from there, you are putting them on coin, or sorry, you put them on wood to then gather enough for another house. And then you wanted to get steel traps, and so you need to get the 125 and then 125 on the coin as well. So your food income is crazy good.
It's good.
Okay. All right. And then
it's a lot though. You got that's a lot to get.
Right. And then from there,
and keep your explorer alive.
Yeah, keep your explorer alive, get your treasures, then split between food and coin, because then your 400 wood's going to come in, and then you're going to go ahead and you need to put down a house, and then some houses and military production. And then from there, so the 2 settlers, your first one for the 17 age up, 17 middle age up. 3 settler wagons is hopefully your next card. And then from there, most likely 700 wood, which we didn't send here. And then 700 coin after that. If you're getting pushed, or if you want to get a little more aggressive, you can go ahead and send 3 Dops or the 8 crossbow or the Irish Briggs. Like you said, those are more defensive play.
Yeah.
And then once you kind of
want to clear units with those.
Okay. Yeah. When they're pushing you, but you don't want to actually sacrifice these in a push. And send them.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then from there, once you kind of have your enemy on lock with your Ulans and you're kind of dancing around, depending on what units you're making, feel free, 700 coin, and like you said, you can keep reducing units, and then just your coin income is going to be solid anyway, so you don't have to worry about taking vills off coin. Keep them there, and then age up, and then make sure you get to age 3, and then you go from there.
Then it's fun. I would say one thing: don't be afraid to just sell a click of coin for a house if you need it. Like if we wanted to get one more batch of Ulans before we age, like we were stacking coin a little bit, and that was kind of my fault. But just click that market button, get the house down, and finish that batch, and then age up afterwards. It's not a big deal. Yeah,
and
if you're gonna skip 700 wood, that's all.
And that coin goes quick. Like we're saying, oh, you're stacking coin, you got 1,000 right here, but the minute I train a batch of Dops, it's gone.
Exactly.
It's crazy. So don't underestimate your coin costs. Really continue to control the mines and do what you can to boost the coin security, basically. Other than that, I think that's a good that's a good indication. I did not click settings and quit. So, all right. Is there anything else that you want to just kind of touch upon with Germany that you feel like that just we didn't go over? Just some parting thoughts.
I would just say, like, that was the standard build, but you can have a lot of fun with like mercenary only build with the Palatine Settlements card, with the house card. Just kind of lets you forget about houses for a while, especially if you're making the top heavy outlaws. Try the Tower Rush. It's just very similar, except you build a tower instead of a TP with a forward settler wagon. Normally you don't want to do that, but the build time is actually worth it. And all your settler wagons would be on wood instead of coin. And you're just batching out pike, bow, 5 pike, 5 bow, 5 pike, back and forth.
Okay.
So yeah, those are 2 fun strategies, and just this is a very attacking civ, and it should be played like that, which is my play style. I love it, so I recommend it.
The trade post goes down in transition, right? So when you're going H2, like you have your vills on when you're gathering that wood for that steel trap, you also want to get enough wood for the trade post and make sure you claim that.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. All right. Well, I would say just in my brief experiences and listening to you, Carey, I would say this is not for the faint of heart. Out of all the civs that we've covered so far, which has not really been many, there's not really any sort of like crutches to really rely on. It is definitely like a skill-bared civ. So I would highly recommend if you're going to approach Germany, make sure you have your fundamentals down. Like you understand the use of control groups, or at the very least have your hotkeys going, so that way you have a good track. You don't want to leave Ulans just twisted in the wind, like, oh, I sent those 2 to raid, sacrifice them, or I put them over here, but then I haven't been using them. You have to be proactive, like Carey's saying. You have to attack. So make sure you're keeping track of the population space. You're keeping track of your macro, there's micro in the macro. So you have to,
Yes.
this is a more intensive civ, but I think it is a rewarding civ in conjunction with how intensive it is in terms of your technical knowledge of the game. So if you're a newer player, I think if you want to jump into Germany, go for it. Just understand it's going to have that learning curve, but I don't know, maybe you'll be a better player if you just stick to Germany first, who knows. Yeah, Carey, I'm super thankful for you to come on and talk about the civ that you love so much. Your knowledge is super appreciated, and we really love your insights. It's really good. Thank you for sharing us the builds. I'm enriched by it, and I'm sure our audience is as well. So thank you guys for listening so much to this Civ Spotlight. We have plenty more coming as we continue to arrange. But yeah, we're going to try to get these out to you as quick as we can. We know that they've been pretty beneficial to your play and just getting you a good general knowledge of each Civ. So thank you so much for tuning into the Age of Bison YouTube channel. Really appreciate it. Go ahead and subscribe. Sorry about that. Subscribe, hit the like, and make sure you have the bell notification going. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. And we will see you in the next one.